what supports the story the best, right? That's always like what we ask ourselves like when we start on a project. So to tell a story like Brave with really very real life characters and real life emotions, we had to push all the characters in a more realistic world, right? With upcoming films, the characters and the story are gonna go in a completely opposite direction from that again. So as far as Pixar is concerned, I don't think we have found like a standard way of making our films yet. I feel like every time we make a movie, we reinvent the wheel, we rethink how we do things here at the studio, and that's what's so exciting about working here. Like every movie is something like completely new, a new challenge, something we haven't done before. I worked in the simulation department on Brave, and since my background was character rigging and modeling, I came on as the technical lead for all the articulation and all the communication with animation, because usually the rigging department, the articulation department works very closely with animation in developing the character and developing the controls that the animator has to deliver their performances. So on Brave, we pretty much think of Merida's hair as a character. So, and I guess that's kind of where I fit in with all the experience from character rigging, is that Brave is the first feature that we actually rigged clothing, rigged hair, and had animators like actually animated and run simulations themselves. So I was there to like help in that communication and also that development part on that new technology. The simulation team on Brave was huge. I think at peak time we were about 24 people, including the supervisors. And I think in prior shows it was more around 10 or 12 people. So we doubled the simulation team on this movie just because of the sheer complexity. Like all our background characters have clothing. Our main characters have multiple layers of clothing, and almost every character has hair. And there's ropes, there is wall sim, there's skin sim, there's all of these different rain sim, like the horses even like are fully simmed, and so it was just so much more sim to do that we just had to have a much bigger team. Visually, I would say Brave is definitely like the most expensive movie that we've made so far. Like we took every technology we had before and kicked it up a notch. We developed so much new technology on this movie, starting from like the new hair simulator we wrote particularly to simulate Merida's hair, to volumetric sim on skin sim on our characters, so we have jiggling and sliding over bone, and then the whole vegetation system was huge effort. We wrote a custom hair simulator like to handle the springy behavior of Merida's hair. I mean, previously we had hair simulation on Ratatouille and on Incredibles, but it was mostly flat hair, short, stubby hair that didn't move that much, and curly hair is just a completely different beast. The other point here is that just the ways that Merida interacts with her hair. She pulls it behind her ear, or she throws it over her shoulder, and when she's shooting her bow she has to like get rid of it, and like all that interaction, we had to give the animator influence over it. So one big part that I worked on in this movie is that giving easy to use controls to the animator to actually pose and influence the hair. And then when they would pass off their animation that was educated by what they could see the hair, they could simulate it themselves really fast. They had really quick turnarounds for the hair simulation. And like I said, posability of the hair. They could start in a certain pose or even direct it during the animation. We would get far better results out of the box from the hair simulator once we ran the full sim, because animators like knew how to act with the hair there, and that was a huge part of the development of her hair. The complexity of the characters and the how real they are in some sense made it very difficult to stay in that cartoony line. We're like, Pixar always tries to like walk that fine line between having real and emotion-evoking characters that are cartoony in a way, but if they get too cartoony, you can't tell this kind of story, right? So in every part of the making, from the modeling of the character to the articulation, how fleshy it all moves, how realistic it moves, but keeping that like all the angle, like if you take Fergus as a character, the king, like all the angles on his face are like very stylized, but when he moves, it is very realistic and very fleshy. And I would compare him like to Bob on Incredibles. It's just like gives the character a three-dimensionality that it's just very subtle, but very believing. And then in terms of realism, we add like 7 layers of clothing, and every character has like multiple layers of hair, and then all the sim on top of that. And it's just like, it was very challenging to keep it all in a same universe, right? That is the key point. Brave is probably the most realistic film yet, but I can obviously not tell you about future projects, but it's gonna go back to very cartoony again.